of the Anderson County Commissioners Court to order on April the 10th, 2023.
No, we moved the
At,
21,100. We moved the whole thing. We moved all of it to your construction materials, and then I moved expenses to here. Sorry.
I'm trying to get started.
Sorry.
Y'all are overbearing
busy.
here. Okay. All right, we'll start the meeting at 9:32. That's a little fast over there. 9:32 a.m. Show that we do have a quorum. Commissioner Mims is absent at present. Ask Commissioner Chapin if he'd do the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. You'd stand with me, please.
Dear Father, Lord, just pray that you'll be with us today, Lord, as we make decisions for the county. Lord, just pray that they'll be accurate and just consistent with what meets the needs of the people, Lord. Just pray that you'll be with men and women that are fighting for this country, Lord. Just be with them, be with their families and comfort them, Lord, and just bring them home safe. Just pray that you continue to bless this county, bless this country and our families. In Christ's name,
Amen. Join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comment? Okay. All right, the consent agenda is item number 4. Consent agenda is considered to be as self-explanatory, will be enacted with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. However, any consent item, agenda item may be removed for individual consideration pursuant to a request by the Commissioners Court member. All right, we have budget amendments, number 37 through 41. And budget amendment number 176. And then we have minutes for the regular meeting, March the 13th, 2023. Do we have any utilities crossing county roads? Any commissioners?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Commissioner Chapin?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. And we have a proclamation, and that's for proclaiming April 30th through May 7th, 2023 as Soil and Water Stewardship Week. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Before we do that, Judge, I have a question about the bills.
Okay?
There's a Flare Data Systems for $106,113.20
Yes, sir.
on page 11. I was just curious what that was for.
Computer equipment.
Okay. Do we not have to go out for bids if it's over?
We went through DIR.
Okay.
So we went through the state. So we have some other things that we buy through DIR too. So that was, yeah,
Okay.
that was through the state and didn't have to be bid.
All right.
Okay.
And what is that, what is it?
You want to explain it? It's actually
Data storage.
data storage.
Storage?
Yes, sir, that was data storage for the servers, back.
Okay.
Equipment we had to have. Okay.
Is our storage capacity that we had before, is it not able to pick up what we got? Is it already full? Is that what it is?
Okay, so the data storage that was.
Come up here so it's on.
Make sure that.
So it's on the tape.
Sure.
I was about to say, so the data storage that we had before was not capable of handling all the servers that we were needing to attend, so that was why we bought the new. The data storage that we had before was around, I want to say it was 21, so around 40 terabytes worth of storage space, a little less, about 38 terabytes worth of storage space. And we have much more than that.
Okay. If we were basically not in contract, but considering, say, being under contract with a business like we had with Quasar, which we eliminated at this point, do they not handle our storage? I mean, because we was looking at writing a,
I wanna be real careful about violating attorney-client privilege at this point. I'm not saying we don't need to have a discussion, and we don't wanna get into closed session stuff, so.
okay.
Okay.
So, well, that was public, that, we already know that we've already done that, so that's not a problem with that. What I'm asking is, if we go back and look at, designing some contract or policy to get back involved with another company, if that be the case, to pick us up for assistance, are we going back in the hardware business to something that won't be necessary for us? Will it be something that'll be stacked in there, you know, like what we've got before? That's my question.
Let me kinda explain part, cause I've been through the process too. Essentially, we were dependent on somebody else to store our data. Now we can store our own data with some backup system for duplication, so that we don't have to worry about some vendor at some point. In other words, we can keep our own data right now, and we're actually saving about $50,000 for the rest of the year. And we can take care of our own business. And that's where we're at this point.
Is that the final cost of the 106?
That's it.
That's gonna get everything we need. We won't have to spend no more money on data.
Well, I mean,
That was total data storage that was needed, yes, to answer that question.
Didn't we keep our data before, though?
Yes.
We did it before we
no.
went to,
Well, okay,
okay, when Tommy Waldron was
when
here,
we had,
you also-
yes, when we went out for Presidio back in, I believe it was 2012, we actually bought a data storage and compute. And the data storage and compute, what were bought at that time were what was currently still in our possession. But when I tried to move all the servers back onto that storage array, there was not enough room. That's why we went, not enough room, so.
Okay, so, but what happened at first, the reason why we left and went to another, we outsourced for storage data?
We outsourced for storage data. We were also using, if you're asking what we were doing in the meantime before that happened, we were,
Well, no, sir,
we were offsourcing some of the data onto separate storage arrays.
We were using separate
Separate
companies.
servers that were, in tandem with what
But
we were
in-house,
having.
we had an issue that made us go out for more or something, correct?
We
did have
were
an issue
needing,
in-house.
we were needing a new data storage, yes.
Sir. And it wasn't.
And that total that we went out for bid for was right around, I believe it was 150,000. There was numbers that were presented before the court, yes.
And at that time, we had actually, the court was presented with some other options, and we had picked one of the cheaper options, the reason why we didn't buy the equipment y'all needed to fulfill that, correct?
There was other obligations that were needed that were along with that, but that was not with the main thing that we were trying to accomplish was getting Odyssey upgraded to the
Yes,
newest
sir.
version.
Now, I mean, I don't know. I know that we've had a few issues when we try to get some of that work done or some of that stuff dumped in that would affect offices like our clerk office or our district clerk office and all that. Are you able to tell us today with what y'all have and what y'all be able to do with your manpower? Because I know that was the issue too, your manpower.
But-
basically, you and Tex wasn't enough to fulfill that. Will y'all be able
But
to do that now?
that was to do some of the other projects. Manpower was one of the things that we were trying to get to be able to fulfill some of the projects. Yes, we were not able to complete all the projects that was needed.
It
We
was
did
with the
say
sheriff's
that,
department,
but-
with clerks and district
But
clerks.
still, when we went with an outside company that didn't provide any extra manpower within the office, that provided server support and also any kind of information that would not be specific to what I do on a normal everyday basis.
Okay, so you just hit what I was talking about on the nail. if we outsource and get y'all some more help or go with other companies, we're gonna have to understand that we're gonna be spinning our wheels if we don't pay for extra help to come in and help y'all.
We will always have outside companies, outside vendors, and we do have a group of outside vendors that we use. It depends on what the need is. We will contract with that vendor. We will allow them access to whatever we need them access to, and then we will get them to what we need to have done, yes.
And so
But
what the court
again-
needs to understand is we're gonna have to make sure that we pay for extra help for them. And that's the problem we've been running into. And I think if Mark can echo what I'm saying here, I know he's here as a clerk and we don't have other representatives here for those other offices that can speak, but
Margie's here.
they're gonna need some help with the systems when they come to working in your offices at a time. Is that correct, Ms. Margie?
But we also, and I want to also preface that we have Tyler Tech engaged and there's a lot of engagement that we do with Tyler Tech to get things done, like with Margie's
Yes.
office. We have a outside group that we spend, and I can't remember what the number is per year. That's
understand.
outside the
And you just spoke
purview.
on it. Tyler
but-
Tech, we're gonna have to make sure we have them on board to help.
But they
y'all
already
and-
do have a contract
But at
with
one
them.
time, we tried to cut that back, and we tried to take them off, and it
Mm.
didn't work out right, and it caused the offices to be down for a day or so, or 4 or 5 to 6 hours, and at those offices, like the tax office or the clerk's office, they're bringing in revenue for the county. We need to make sure those offices are constantly going. They can't be down for 4 or 6 hours. And I understand that the judge is working on this with y'all, but we have to make sure all parties involved understand this so that those offices can be successful.
Well, see, it's like the appraisal district has got one system. That's, Margie's got Tyler Technology, so, and of course, Commissioner Chapin serves on the appraisal district as our representative, but they're trying to go through the process to get a vendor at the appraisal district that will talk to her system that Tyler Technologies has. Because right now, it's,
Yeah, they're not
it's
integrated.
it's not working
They're not
quite like it
integrated.
should. The
Yes.
other thing, it's just like I have to go into a file. Used to, you'd have the attorneys coming in and, you know, give you orders, say, I need a hearing, those kind of things. Not anymore. They go through here, through the clerk's office, and he's got a system through Tyler Technologies, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like e-file. And so all the attorneys in the Supreme Court ruled that they had to start using e-file. So they e-file all their documents, so I have to go into e-file, log in, and review the documents. Well, I mean, so we're partnering with Tyler Technology to do a lot of that stuff. Of course, like any system you got, I mean, I worked for the state 16 years, and our systems go down, and you gotta get them back up. That's just the nature of doing business that way.
Yes.
But he's got, we got e-grants. You know, and going in, I have to do grants, so there's different systems that we have. Some of them are at the state level that we partner with. It's just like auto registration. Margie has auto registration, so she's got a system that talks to Austin and, on the auto registration stuff, so.
But if, my question would be is if we opt to go in to some type of contract with another company for assistance like we have in the past, are we spending money that is gonna be, cause I know we have several $100,000 worth of equipment over there that wasn't being utilized because it was outdated. And I knew that we was up against, I thought the reason we outsourced it this last time was because we were up against another $400,000 or $500,000 worth of expenditures. So whether if not, you know.
We
we're
brought
doing
up
that again.
several solutions, but the solution that the data storage, if you were to look at replacing the data storage, thank you. We had several different options, and I believe which we will still have a big portion, because again, switches and that kind of stuff wasn't covered under anything contract-wise that we're having to actually pay for.
And that's normal maintenance.
And that's just normal maintenance. The primary compute and Sure, if you want to speak, I guess you were wanting to speak towards that second one.
Well, for clarification, your questions are great questions, Commissioner Mims, on whether or not it's worthwhile to, make some of the decisions regarding purchasing our own stuff rather than having somebody else help us. And the proposal that we showed to you guys, which is still 100% here and ready to look at if y'all want it, but the proposal that I had regarding expenses was it never included us not owning our own storage data. One of the things that we think is important is for the county to own the county's data and not to have it in the hands of somebody else, so that if anything happened, we've still got control of our own data. So all of our proposals included that. The question was whether or not we had somebody to help for disaster recovery or to help for triage. Triage meaning if all of a sudden something crazy happens, can we call somebody and have them go, hey, yeah, let's help get you back up. And those were the biggest things that we wanted to help take care of, in addition to getting Odyssey able to be accessed from outside the county, which is one of the biggest, was a recurring complaint from a lot of our offices.
But Odyssey's criminal justice information, correct?
Yes, and that was, then we were wanting to go with some way for people to be able to access Odyssey.
Like a patrol
remotely.
car,
Yeah.
like a patrol car can access their
Well-
systems or CGIS systems or what?
We hadn't considered.
I'm asking that question, I'm not.
We hadn't considered patrol cars at this time. At this time, we were talking about when Allison goes out of town on conference.
District judges or.
Yeah, district
Yes.
judges.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was one of the things. The solution to that at the time, we had gone to Tyler Tech and asked them how much it would cost to go with their software as a service, which means we would no longer host Odyssey's servers. They would host it themselves, but they would give us a web portal. The web portal would basically mean that you don't have to be on our network anymore to get to it. You could get to it from anywhere, assuming that you had the program installed on the computer. So as long as you had one of our computers, you could be anywhere in the United States and access Odyssey. That was extremely expensive. That was one of the hardest pills that we had to try to present, was that we didn't want to say,
That's what drove us to the point of that one, right? Because it come in so high, is that what you're talking about?
it was extremely high, yeah.
I remember that.
They were gonna offer us a $635,000 credit, but it was going to cost,
So it was around $500,000, wasn't it?
no, it was.
No, it was like
a lot more than
1,
that.
2.
It was
Like,
Close on
close to $2 million.
$2 million.
No,
Okay.
what I need to
That was about
clarify that
1.2.
was the plan that we had proposed was a 7-year cost estimate, so that's $2 million over 7 years. So yeah, that was a very jagged pill for everybody, for y'all, for us. We
Yes.
didn't want to have to propose something like that. Anyway, so I hope I answered your question satisfactorily on data storage, compute, and whether or not it makes sense for us to own our own stuff, because it's
Our data.
yeah.
One way or another, we're gonna have to have this. We're gonna have to do it. But to make it be effective, cost-wise and for the other officers, what's the best solution? I know at one point in time, we tried to come up as a court with a solution, and I think that was when Judge Johnson first took in after the Waldrop incident. He tried to come across, and then we addressed it, and we went through domino effect with a few different companies, different things. TechSoup was just coming aboard, and then that's what led us up into our current situation, and then now what's happening. What I don't want to do is take a step back and then put those officers a step back, because I understand, and I know they're gonna have issues now, so we gotta find a way all collectively to
Yeah,
fix the issue and to work on it together
One of the
for
biggest-
Anderson County.
One of the biggest issues that we had at the time, a couple of years ago, was access to email, because we had a local email server, and managing a local email server requires a special education and skill in order to be able to do that. It worked for a long time, but when it started having problems, we started looking at another solution, which is where Microsoft hosts it. That's the solution that the gentleman from Quasar recommended as well, because they don't think that people need to be hosting their own email servers. We didn't think we need to be hosting our own email servers, so that problem has been solved ad infinitum.
And most of the time, if you look at larger counties, they have an in-house person that actually does just that as a function for every day. And it's very specialized and very expensive. Most of the time, that person can cost anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 per year for just being for that job function, which is we just can't afford something like that.
Yes.
So again, paying Microsoft a monthly stipend was the best solution. And most counties and most entities look at that option, and that's why we went with what we went with Office 365 to manage that. Because again, you've got tons of where they're gonna hack it, they're gonna try to get into your emails.
We actually did the
So-
same thing at the state level.
One of the other questions that you guys had was, is there any more money that's gonna have to be spent? Disaster recovery is extremely important for the county. Disaster recovery still has not been solved to this day. And that's one of the things that we aimed to solve back a couple of years ago when we were presenting this budget. And this quote is 2 years old and it's no longer good, but as an example, the quote that I have from a company called iLand was gonna be about $75,000 a year for disaster recovery, and the difference between, and I'll just explain it again, because I know I did 2 years ago, but that was 2 years ago. Backups is different from disaster recovery. Backups mean we have our data copied and safe, and if our whole building blows up, we've still got it. But that doesn't mean you can run it. We would have to get another set of servers in and stand them up and do the whole thing and then
Download it.
put our data on it. So we
Yes.
would be down for that period of time.
Yes.
So we do have backups. Our data is safe. Everything's good on our backups.
Even duplication now.
Correct, yeah, we've got
We
them,
didn't have that.
we've
We
got them
do
in
now.
2 separate places, yeah.
That's correct.
And didn't we have a fire once before with one of our servers?
Fire?
Not in one of our servers, no.
It was, what was it?
We
Water
had-
damage or something? Or one of
We
the-
had, we've had, one event where we had the storage array had issues and we had to go out and get data recovery.
Oh, yeah, that was.
But that wasn't that wasn't due to a
That was
fire.
That was the problem that caused us to do the backup solution that we currently have.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that, and that's
Yeah,
why
that was
it led up to it.
we had taken for granted the instructions that we were given by the last IT director. He said, if you do these processes, then the backups will be great. So we said, okay, we did them, and turns out it wasn't true. So
We did
we
the
got bit,
investigation
Margie
and-
got bit, or I guess it was Terry at the time. And we took our licks and went and got a good solution, and this good solution has been very solid, and we've been very happy with it. And it's very affordable. We're paying literally nickels on the dollar, and I mean that, for what that kind of a solution typically costs.
Yes.
For leasing appliances and things like that. Anyway, so disaster recovery, however, is a much bigger bear because it requires somebody to house all of our data at a separate location, which if something disastrous happened to the county and we could no longer stand up, we would have to have an internet line spun up and separate servers spun up at some other location, and that kind of a thing is pretty expensive. And the solution that we were quoted on was about $75,000 a year, again, assuming incremental growth at a 7-year rate, and that's what we were quoted back then. So that came out to $530,000 over a 7-year period.
Yes. Okay, so, I understand a little bit of it, and, before, this roundabout, when you had started Tex, I think I was trying to, help with all of this, actually working on it with Tyler Technology before a previous judge, it kind of took me off on the back burner behind it, and I just left it alone, but, I do understand a little bit about what y'all talking about going. I remember the events, because I actually took a couple trips up to, their office, head corporation, went through and see what Anderson County had needed and stuff, but I guess at that time, my opinion wasn't needed enough for Anderson County, so it was just kind of put back, and I just stepped back and left it alone, you know. But if y'all do want to sit down and talk about this some more on some other stuff, not here in court, I'll be willing to talk with y'all.
Absolutely, we're 100% open to.
So we're going back to hardware business, basically what that pertains to with buying this.
Yeah, absolutely. The hardware is something that's critical for us to be able to house our own data, yeah.
But if we went out to an outside vendor, would it be necessary to have? That would be my question. We didn't need it before we shut our hardware room down, so.
Well, we never shut down our
I know we
hardware room.
stored it, I remember that.
Well, but we still had servers that were still, being
So
managed.
we'll be, if we do that, we can still utilize this equipment. That's the main thing I was asking, I guess.
Well, it would be way overkill. I mean, this equipment that we bought was spec'd out for us to be able to use for 7 years with 15% incremental growth. Yeah.
So the decision today to buy something like this today would be whether or not we're deciding to go out for an outsourced entity to help us out. If that be the case, would just be either not do that or not do this, one or the other, right? Your recommendation?
Well, I've asked them to put, some data together on exactly what they need, any equipment that needs replacing, because there's been switches that haven't been replaced that actually need to be replaced, so we need to look at that at budget time. As a result of the $50,000 savings of what we've done, I've talked to Mike about going ahead and trying to replace some of those switches. And the switch is gonna be like, there's a switch here for different offices.
Fortunately, when this last system was put in place, it was robust enough that we can still use some of the components of it and just replace out some of the parts, like our main blade server. So there will have to be some components in there that have to be replaced, which is still gonna be a lot cheaper than what it would have been if we had to do an entire data center. Switches are gonna have to be replaced in order to maintain our CGIS compliance. I mean, that sort of stuff, some of it can't be helped, even if we went with another company. Some of it is stuff that we would have to do only if we housed our own stuff. But the recommendation of the IT department is, that we maintain our own data center so that the county owns it. That way, if there's any, we're not legal experts or anything. If there's anything that winds up happening that somebody didn't foresee for any reason, we can say, we still got our stuff. And we can still run, and we can still
It's
have.
all in our system.
Right.
I just thought that would be a commissioner's court decision, instead of an IT.
I said it was our opinion, yeah.
To
So
put
our
y'all,
recommendation.
going into the hardware business without even, bringing it to our awareness, would be my question today, is where the choice was for Commissioner's Court to decide whether we need to be in the hardware business or outsource.
Okay.
But it looks like y'all made a decision just to go back in the hardware business
We
without.
make our recommendation, and that's.
No, they didn't make the decision, I did, and I'd do it again if I had to do it again.
Okay.
Protect the data of this county.
Well,
That's as much as I'm gonna say.
absolutely, and I think either one.
I think we're getting into closed session, we're close to closed session, and attorney-client privilege, so I'm gonna ask you not to go there. Please.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we pull those two bills over until we have further time to put it on something to where we can at least have a open discussion about it that won't be out of character of, the courts. At this time, that's what I'd like to do, at least to give us time to look at it, or a fair shot at Commissioner Mills and time looking at it.
All right, we have a motion to pull, what is the bill for $106,000 for that vendor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who is it? Is that you, Jim?
Yes, sir.
McKenna? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Chapin, second by Commissioner Dixon. Just one discussion. We've got this equipment, it's in place, and all of our data is stored on it. If we don't pay for it, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. So it was within the budget. It was an IT budget item. It was paid for out of budget to protect our data. And so before there's a vote, I just ask y'all to consider what's gonna happen to our data if we do this. because that's all of our data on that equipment. So, I mean, that's,
Well, I just wish you would have considered that in the 3 months that you spent putting it together. That would have brought some of that to our awareness. And that's why today I'm just not aware of what's going on. I'd like to know before.
well, I can't get into that, Commissioner, and you know that I can't.
Yes, sir, I understand that. I'm not even asking
I'm,
for that, so.
I'm not gonna sit here and violate attorney-client
Well, I
privilege.
think, I
Absolutely.
think,
Closed session to try to defend myself and my actions.
That's
I'll
right.
just say.
I just think
I
that,
did it, I'll just say this generally. I did that to protect the data for the citizens of this county. And I was within policy. You've already agreed that I stayed completely within policy. In fact, I had more latitude within policy to do even more things. But when the final decision came to do what we needed to do to protect the citizens of this county, I didn't make that decision. I brought it to the court. The court made a decision and supported that decision. And so, I'm just saying,
Okay.
that we're fixed to be in a pickle.
If it challenges us in the pickle that you're talking about, then I absolutely would say that I would run right in here on a special meeting. I mean, it'd take us 3 days to 72 hour. I don't think that, I mean, they surely wouldn't cut us off from that. If they contact us and say, hey, we're gonna cut you off, you're gonna lose everything, then I'm in support of jumping on it to support that. I mean, but at this time, I think that I'd like to give it some time to be able to research it and look at it a little closer with their other options and, you know, just with what there might be out there.
Quick note, we can't be cut off from it because we own, nobody has a switch that will be cutting off our data
Yes.
at this point.
Thank you.
and all I was gonna say, just in your honor, is I think both of y'all have good points, you and Commissioner, but, I understand we went into executive session on the issue and some things we don't wanna talk about or bring out. But we also have a responsibility as a court to make sure every office is running correctly and we'll be able to run in the right order to do the job that those elected officials have done. So, I mean, need to do. And so I think as a court, until we finish talking to everybody and talk to them, I mean, I don't think 2 weeks will hurt us. I mean, it's not saying that no one's saying no to what y'all are doing. We're just saying go to the next commissioners court, give everybody time to make sure we come up with a suitable plan that will help out. And we would just like to help you with it if we could, sir. Or I know I would.
Well, we're gonna take, I've already asked them to put a proposal together for anything that they need, so we can bring it back to the court. So that's in the works anyway, but that's gonna take some time to put together.
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, my concern is what happens to our data if we don't pay for this equipment? And y'all know I can't go into it. You're putting me in a,
No, sir.
you're putting me in a spot where I can't defend myself. And so that's my concern. And I didn't make any final decisions. Court made the final decision, okay?
That's correct, sir.
All right. And so, and you supported that decision. So, I tell you what, I'm just really in a pickle here. And I'm not sure that, why we wanna go there, because y'all understand, never mind. I'm just not gonna say
Tex
anything
just
else.
said that there's no way for them to cut us off, and Commissioner Mims talking about this in 2 weeks, we just look at it and give us a little time.
I think everybody really, to a certain extent, understands why I did what I did, so. But I have a motion by Commissioner Chapin, I have a second by Commissioner Dixon to, pull the bill for, what's that vendor?
The
Flare.
vendor
Flare, okay. The Flare bill for what was it,
$106.
$106,113.20.
$106,113
20 cents.
20 cents. All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve all the other consent agenda items.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Dixon, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mims, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, so ordered. Okay. Next item on the agenda is consider to take action on the purchase of new tires for Elkhart Volunteer Fire Department. Let's see, 2 front and 4 rear for engine 4851 in the amount of $4,338 to be paid out of American Rescue Fund, Plan Act funds. And so that's within their, Christina, that's within their,
Yes, sir.
still allotted amount that was
Yes, sir.
granted by the court?
Yes, sir, they went and bought equipment and stuff, and they were looking at that truck and it needed tires.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, is that a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dixon, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. Consider and take action on the purchase of a ventilation fan for Elkhart Volunteer Fire Department, amount of $2,600 to be paid with American Rescue Plan, Act funds. Same thing there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chapin, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. Consider and take action on annual contract between Anderson County, Anderson, Cherokee County Enrichment Services. That's our annual contract. We've gotten,
Judges get number 7, I think.
did I?
Yes, sir, west side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consider to take action on, annual contract between Anderson County and West Side Volunteer Fire Department. And they have turned in their, financial statement.
Yes, sir.
And it's our annual contract that's in the budget.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chapin, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. All right, now, item number 8, consider and take action on the annual contract between Anderson County, Anderson, Cherokee County Enrichment Services, and we've got their annual contract to approve. Any questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, all in favor say aye. Excuse me, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dixon. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So ordered. Number 9, consider to take action on addendum to the contract between Anderson County and Anderson County Humane Society. I think there was an addendum, Adam, that the court did, last year to, give them some, additional funds out of the ARPA funds. I remember because I was in court today.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve, and Allison did put this together on the addendum, so, our district attorney. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the addendum contract with the Humane Society. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Dixon, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mims, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. Item number 10 is review changes to the wording for proposal policies and procedures and take action to adopt as necessary.
Have 2 of them in case you.
I just marked yours, Judge, so that you'd know it, you know, what my changes was. And that's the only reason why I highlighted yours, and I apologize.
Are you talking about the yellow
Yes, sir.
part's the
Just
only
yellow
change?
part. There's no changes other than the yellow part, and that's it. So, after reading the policy, like I say over and over on the, IS security policy, you know, for Anderson County, and I think judges said we all kind of agreed that it's really together right the way it needs to be. The only changes I made where it had said that it was under the Commissioner's Court, I just changed it to where when it gives the authority to the IRM, which is responsible for, you know, detecting and shutting down the system, and just when it says that he's responsible, you know, given the authority and accountability, and I just put on there and it hadn't been designated by the Commissioner's Court. The reason why I changed that to the designation by Commissioner's Court, nowhere in the policy that it said who was actually designating this one person to whomever it was, whether it was the IT director or whoever, if it was an outsourced person that, you know, that was watching it for us. So it just leaves it to where whomever is watching it would just be still under the same designated by Anderson County instead of being just under Anderson County Court.
So on this first one, on 2 of 7 that you have highlighted, What is it that you're trying to accomplish with that?
Nothing, just, but the part of, when I say, it just says, if you go back to the old one, which you don't have in front of you, you know, it just says that the same, the language is all the same, and it just says, under the Commissioners Court of Anderson County, that the Information Resource Manager is responsible for Anderson County's management, you know, County Information Resources Designated Agent, you know, when it says all that, it says in there who actually determines who the IRM is.
Well, the policy actually determined who the IRM is. It was gonna either be the director of IT, or if there was no director of IT and the court hadn't appointed one,
That's right.
then it falls to the county
And
judge.
we left it just that way with the county judge, because if we don't, then at that point, if we go in to change it to make it the county judge and commissioners, then you can't make a decision without having a quorum and making the decision.
And
That
making a
decision-
public decision.
That's right, that decision has to be made right now. So that all stayed intact, that if it does, and he, you know, if the IRM defaults, Anderson County, or has not designated the title to it, it goes to the Anderson County judge. The county judge is now responsible to carry out those duties. So none of that changed, other than the fact that if we outsourced, you know, through somebody else and wanted to designate somebody else, that could be changed.
So let me say this, okay? And I've got something I wanna potentially add to the policy too. And it's some basic language that you'll understand when you see it.
Okay.
But, as at least a basic start for a vendor policy, and since you put this on the agenda, I decided that that's something that is seriously needs to be addressed. And so, you would not outsource the IRM, because then you're giving somebody outside the county, somebody that's not employed by the county, you're giving them as a director over all of your IT services. You wouldn't do that with an outsource. That's not,
But
unless
are
you
they
have-
not hired by the county the same as one of our employees here? I mean, I don't know where they entrust of the employee actually that's housed here or the one that we hire. Do they not have insurance and, you know, I mean, some credibilities? I'm just asking, that's just a question, because I don't know what your opinion is on that one.
Well, Commissioner, what I was getting at, what you were saying, instead of it defaulting to the county judge, we're actually setting it to the county judge, the court
Yeah,
is.
Yes, what it says in
And,
the.
and I think I understand that language.
Yeah, cause
I
it
think I do.
said, it just said what you read.
All
it
you're doing is
default-
emphasizing that it
that
goes to the
court-
county judge.
The court
okay?
made the decision
I
if it's
understand.
a county.
That's why I asked. I
Yeah.
wanna make sure I was clear.
And that's the way the old one was, and that's what I looked at, you know, taking that away and making it, you know, where outside the county judge, if it went to the county judge and commissioners at that point, now you have to have a quorum in a meeting to be able to make a decision. He needs to make a decision, you know, instantly.
Mark, here's your copy of this. Does he have a copy, do you have a copy of what Commissioner Shaker?
Yes.
Okay, good, okay, all right. Okay. So, let's go ahead with I'll come back to what I was gonna propose.
Okay, and
All
like I
right,
said.
on page 4 of 7, that's it, that's another
Yeah,
change?
the 4-7, that was what, actually, you know, whenever they adopted what Doug Lowe had suggested, Kenneth and Rashad were on the court, and they taken in this A through C to add to the policies. When I find the policies, I can't find it, that this has ever been filed or put into place, you know, as an addition to it. And this was what Doug Lowe's recommendations was in 2011, and the courts did accept it to put it into place. And the only changing nothing that he said until the end, where it says, you know, if the IT director, you know, goes in and cuts anybody's internet services out within 2 working days, he'd notify the county judge. Well, I just added the commissioners to it so that we could also have that opportunity in writing to be able to be enlightened on what had happened in our system. So that was just adding us to, not changing anything. Nothing changed the words other than.
So you're talking about like with an email or something?
Yes, sir. It just added the commissioners to the 2-day notice. That, an awareness for us, and that was it. Other than that, I mean, it was just an addition.
Okay, I understand. I don't have a problem with that.
Yes, that was it. There's nothing else. Everything was the same. And like I said, I mean, I thought the way they had it described, it was really a good policy.
All right, well, this is something that, and I think y'all understand, I was trying to at least put something together that would be basic information to give us some guidance until, and we can take and submit all this to I'd like for us on any kind of policy changes to take and at least let our district attorney give us some kind of input on it, okay? I understand what you're proposing. I'm
Yes,
not necessarily opposed to that.
yes, sir, I
okay?
understand.
I'd just like for policies and contracts that have not been in the past all the time reviewed by our district attorney to give us some legal counsel on making sure we're getting solid. There may be a statute that one of us doesn't recognize that maybe we're doing something, we're putting in language that doesn't necessarily follow a statute so that we protect ourselves there. At least we'd have legal counsel to give us that. So, but, and if you want to take, and we can look at this maybe at the next meeting, since we're going to evidently be talking about that anyway. But this was a vendor policy, and we don't really have anything that addresses vendors. And so I've looked at some stuff from DIR, some contracts that DIR does with some of their vendors, and this is some of the basic bullet points that you would see in some of their contracts and that they've got with their vendors on IT stuff. So essentially, IT, information technology vendor policy. All vendors for IT services that touch Anderson County data systems will be under a contract that defines duties and responsibilities of the vendor and the level of access to certain data. Second, all IT vendors will be directed by and answered directly to the Director of IT as outlined in policy in Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 271, Subchapter F, to make sure all systems are compatible and will function properly with the Anderson County systems. 3, all contracted vendors will produce verification to Anderson County that anyone within their company touching data has had a thorough criminal background and had the appropriate CJIS or criminal justice information systems training to allow access to sensitive personal data to include but not limited to criminal justice information like with the district attorney, the sheriff's office, JPs, some of our courts, payroll, health insurance and employee information data, which is very sensitive, bank accounts, direct deposit information, sensitive county clerk information such as criminal, deed records, and probate, etc., sensitive district clerk information, criminal, child support, family law, etc., tax office information, emails and for elected officials and staff, other governmental state agencies that have systems connected to Anderson County data. Some similar to those are like the auto registration, and then there's going to be grants and things like that that we're connected with state agencies. So if you look at some of the state laws required on some of that data with the state, then that kind of passes down to us if we're using their systems. Okay, so and this is just basic language. I didn't get in, just like on the bullet points, I said et cetera, because there may be other things that the county clerk or the district clerk could say, hey, this is sensitive data. Same thing with Margie or anybody else using our systems, okay? So.
Oh, I agree. Reading the minutes back whenever, Kenneth had made the motion that they accepted, the additions to the security policy, they had made the statement then that it was probably gonna end up being tweaked over time. And I think I don't know that security policy, that part of the vendor policy, it fits in it. I mean, I think it probably should be in it, the security side of it. But, definitely, that is what I thought that we were gonna work on possibly. Even getting tax assistance or getting, Allison to help us with is writing a vendor's policy and a basic contract.
And that's why I didn't make this real elaborate, because I wanted it just basic language. I'm for letting her look over anything we're changing.
Yes, sir.
Even what I'm proposing, so.
Well, how about if it's all right with the
We
courts,
can
that,
put it on the next agenda.
yeah, I could table my
Well, we
you
don't
know,
have to table it, I mean, we can pass it.
or just pass it and come back with this to look at the additional changes that I proposed and then some of these that we could add to it with that. Because that we get it done
I'm
close to
fine.
one time. Not say we wouldn't come back later, cause we could think of something else.
Well, I think vendor policies,
Yeah, absolutely.
Critical.
It is,
Okay.
yes, sir.
and so we got, and we actually have in the IT policy some language that gives us a policy to follow, just like the data belongs to us and those kind of things. That needs to be in a
Yes, sir.
vendor policy too. So, if y'all are willing to pass and let Allison look at all this, I'm fine with that. We can put it on the next agenda.
Yes, sir, I'm okay with that, cause
Y'all
two,
good?
271 is a big local government code, and it addresses a lot of things.
Yeah, subchapter F talks about contracts with other vendors.
Yes, sir.
And number one, you have to have a contract in certain instances, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, now like DIR, all that stuff is with the state and it's already, it's like buy board. You can go to DIR, you don't have to bid things. With purchasing agreements, you can do that too. But at the same time, some of it requires certain contracts and certain language. So that's why I put just the statute in there. I'll let Allison tweak it if it needs to be tweaked.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, so
You need a
y'all for
motion.
passing this in?
Yes,
You
sir.
need a
Yes, sir.
motion.
Okay, all right. All right, so we'll pass on item number, 10 and,
Pass on
Put it
item
on-
number 11 too, cause if you need
Okay.
to, because it all pertains to the same thing for
Okay.
my vendor
all
policy.
right, so you're requesting we pass on 10 and 11 to let
Yes,
her
sir.
look at that?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It all ties together.
okay. All right, so we'll pass on item number 10 and 11. Item number 12 is discuss and award bids for Road and Bridge Precinct 4 Special Project for the following culverts, base stone, road oil, refined cracked fuel oil, special project beginning April 4th through December 31st, 2023. Megan, did you want to address that? I know it's
We
Commissioner
went out,
Hill's
I'm ready.
project.
We went out for bid for, Joey's CTIF grant, because it's a special project. We can't use the regular bids, it has to be special bid. So,
Because it is a special project.
yes, sir.
right? Okay.
So I believe in your packet, it shows you, the bidding specs.
I've got a
Mr. Hill,
bid,
you want,
yes, sir, I got a bid from, Wilson's Culvert on corrugated metal culvert pipe.
yes, sir.
That's the only bid I got, so I'd like to
Yes.
accept that as my, primary bid.
Do we want to do these separate or?
I can do them all at one time if y'all like, however we need to do it. There's only
Maybe do
three
it
of 'em.
separid, because I
Separate?
believe the last time we did it, I did a separate minute order for each one.
Okay.
So I think it'd be best if we did
All right,
separate.
I put in form of motion that we accept the bid from Wilson Culvert for corrugated metal pipe, for precinct 4 special project.
all right, motion by Commissioner Hill, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dixon, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered, okay.
My next bid is, for base stone, Coker and Son, bid it along with statewide material. One is cheaper, so I would like to put it.
And I'll abstain on that, okay. All right,
And then, Bryan and Bryan Asphalt bid our oil, and, they were the only bid, so I put it in form of motion, we, accept the bid from Bryan and Bryan Asphalt for road oil for precinct 4 special project.
all right, motion by Commissioner Hill on the, road oil, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mims, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. Okay. Was that it?
Yes, sir, that was all of it.
Okay, all right.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Item number 13 is consider and take action to consider or to accept the Community Development Block Grant Hazard Mitigation Award and adopt the budget for 2023. Budget amendment number 36. Did you want to address that, Mike?
Yes, this is a grant that Christina's doing with the General Land Office. It was awarded, and now there's items that are due to grant work, so we need to adopt the budget, or the court needs to adopt the budget as well. Accept it and adopt the budget.
Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve or accept the Community Development Block Grant Hazard Mitigation Award and adopt the budget amendment number 36. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, do I have a second?
Second,
Second by
How
Commissioner
much
Meade.
is it for?
it's for the,
85, I believe. 85 or 86.
All right, I have a motion to second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So ordered. Item number 14, consider and take action on adopting and/or updating the records management program policy with Texas State Library and appointing the position of the county auditor as the records management officer for Anderson County as required per statute in the local government code 203.021 and 025. Did you want to address that?
Sure. I believe there is a policy that is in the minutes, but it's several years old, and it names the person as the county auditor. And I spoke with the Texas State Library, and she suggested that we update the policy, naming the position so that after me, it's not as difficult to change my name in it, because the court says to, per statute, name me as the records
Just-
management officer.
We're naming the county auditor.
Yes, you're naming the county
Position.
auditor. And this policy is a sample from their website, from the Texas State Library, and I did send it to Allison, and she approved it to form.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I just had to look at
I have none.
Any questions?
no, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the county auditor position as the records management officer for Anderson County, required by statute, local government code 203.201, 203.021 and 025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dixon, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So ordered. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Commissioner Chapin, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hill, all in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.